Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, a very warm welcome. I'm Ziba Lennox, and in this Make It Happen Monday video, I'm going to be sharing how to stay fit over 40. I'll be giving you my top tips on how I stay strong, retain my muscle mass, maintain my weight, still eat what I love, as well as how to have energy and stop obsessing about your weight. The most important thing is to be at your happy weight where you can still enjoy and live life and feel good in your skin and just feel so comfortable and confident in your skin that you don't have to think about what you're eating or not eating all day long, because nobody wants to do that. So let's get started. One of the most important things that you can do to stay fit over 40 is to really listen to your body. And this is where it gets tricky because everybody wants to give you a prescription. Everybody wants to tell you exactly what to do. The truth is that every body is very different. I've been training women for the last 12 years, every single day at Mozzie Dance Fitness, thousands of women. And I see that what works on one person does not work on the other. There is a framework, however, that you can use to kind of see and test things for yourself to see what is working. There are some things that work for everybody, but there are some things that don't. So that's where you really have to pay attention, maybe keep a journal on the things that you're doing to keep track of how you're feeling, how you're looking, and most importantly, do you have energy and do you feel good? The second really important thing to maintaining your weight and staying fit over 40 is sleep. Sleep is the basis for health. If you get proper sleep every night, not only will you have immunity and will you have a better mood and your adrenals will be balanced, but you'll also be more energized in the morning and you won't be making bad decisions right from the get-go when you wake up. So the first thing to look at if you want to change your weight or if you're feeling unfit and not strong enough, you want to take a look at, am I getting enough sleep? And if not, what can I do to help this? Is it a supplement? Is it meditation? Is it changing your caffeine habits or your alcohol habits? Because once you find a good night's rest, it makes a big difference in how your entire system performs. About 10 years ago, before I had kids, I was suffering from adrenal fatigue. And what that meant was that I couldn't fall asleep, I couldn't wake up, I had very huge sugar cravings, I was over consuming caffeine, and basically my adrenals were overstressed and firing way too much. And so what that was doing was it wasn't allowing me to rest and restore my body. And in turn, I felt bloated. I was probably 10 to 15 pounds heavier, which on my frame is a lot. After solving for the adrenal fatigue and getting proper rest, I noticed a huge difference in my bloating alone. For number 3, what you're probably really wondering, and one of the questions that I get most on my Instagram or even just at the studio is, what is my actual fitness program? How do I stay so thin? What do I do? All of these things. And I gotta say that for me personally, what works really well is doing a combination of cardio and strength work. If I do all cardio, my body doesn't feel strong and I don't look as toned and I start getting like a little bit of like skinny fat. I don't know if you've heard that term where you're just skinny fat, right? If I'm only doing strength and I'm not doing cardio, my physique and my strength doesn't suffer as much, but my mental health isn't as good as it can be. For me, cardio is kind of my happy pill, and I love dance cardio, and I teach that a couple times a week. And it's just a way for me to escape and be very present in the moment without deliberately setting out to be present. So when you're doing something like where you're following along choreography or you're just following a class, you have to be present because you have to pay attention as to what you're doing. Otherwise you'll trip or you won't be able to keep up. For me, having to be present and listening to the music and just moving my entire body not only makes me happy, but it releases serotonin. It just calms me down. It helps me be very present and forget all of my problems. If I start thinking about life and what's really going on, I can't keep up or I can't teach the class. So I really do cardio mostly for my mental health, more so than for my physical health, but I think both of them work really well. I also love to have a slightly room temperature room. Like I don't like to turn on the AC. I really like to sweat. I think it's very cathartic to just be drenched in sweat afterwards and just feel cleansed in a sense. So I encourage you, if you're not seeing results and you're already doing a healthy mix of cardio and strength, to turn up the temperature a little bit. You don't have to do Bikram temperatures. You don't have to be like high 80s, but just maybe like mid 70s, just so that you are not competing with your body's ability to sweat. Like you're not like blasting the AC when your body just wants to like work. It's really important to figure out that right level of fitness. Sometimes adding more fitness and adding more classes and doing an extra ride and then going on a walk and then running, getting up early and also running in the morning and doing all these things, and you're like, the scale is not moving. This sounds so counterintuitive, but just try it for a couple of weeks. If you're working out so much and probably miserable, if you're working out so much and you're not seeing results and the scale is not moving and you're doing everything else right, just take it down a notch, be kinder to your body. And then when you do work out, go all out, but don't do it as much, and see how you feel. There's a chance that you will look and feel better. The reason that strength is so important is because as we age, we lose muscle mass. And so not only is that bad for how we look, but our bones take a beating because they don't have enough weight to bear. So if you are retaining your muscle mass, not only does that help your metabolism stay elevated, but it also helps your bone retain mass. So strength is so important. And if push comes to shove and you have to choose one, I would say choose strength for fitness reasons. Of course, if you love cardio, then do it for you. Do it because it makes you happy, but definitely try to incorporate at least 3 strength sessions a week so that you retain that muscle tone, that muscle mass, and your bones stay happy. One of the most important things in figuring out that exercise component of staying fit in your 40s is to do what you love, okay? So if you used to be a cheerleader, or you were on the dance team, or you were on the rowing team, or you played soccer, whatever it was, go back to that. Go back to that moment where you were like energized and looked forward to it. Find an intramural sports team, you know, find one of those, like now there's like high tech where you're like batting stuff or kicking stuff. Get back to that inside of like, what did I love as a child? What energized me? What woke me up in the morning? And going back to that will really encourage you to stick to the workout program, because if you don't enjoy it, you're definitely not going to do it, and it's going to feel like torture. And that's the last thing you want in fitness. You want to feel like you're treating yourself to your hour. An hour goes by so fast. And so just prioritize scheduling it into your calendar and have it be the most important meeting with yourself. I read a funny quote about how when mothers put themselves in first place in comparison with everybody else, it's usually only so that they can go back to being in second or third place for their entire family. So it's kind of like a good way of thinking of it. It's like, in order for me to do everything that I need to do for my businesses and for my family and for my kids, and to have that energy and be present with them, I can't do that if I don't make that time. And for an hour, put me first and just focus on replenishing. Number 4, what to eat. It is so confusing. If you've been around since the 90s, you know how confused we were. Eat a whole box full of cookies if it's fat-free. Then we went through like the gluten-free thing. Then we went through the Atkins thing. Then we've been through so much of people telling us how to eat, and there's so much fear and not knowing what am I supposed to be eating now? It can be really frustrating. The first and foremost thing to keep in mind is very much like the fitness component and doing workouts that you love. Eat foods that you love. If you don't eat foods that you love, what ends up happening is you will never be satisfied. It's almost like being with the wrong partner. If you're with the wrong partner and it's not quite there, the chemistry's not there, or something's off, you'll never be satisfied, right? You have to eat food that you love to eat. Like for a while there, I was eating like fake meatless products, which they've come a long way, and I'm all about meatless Mondays. I try to eat meatless whenever possible. But I was eating meatless substances for the sake of eating, like just for the sake of it. And I didn't enjoy it. It tasted like gooey, slippery, slimy. I didn't enjoy it. And so therefore, when I finished eating the meal, what would happen afterwards? I felt unsatisfied. So what would I do? I'd open the pantry and I'd start picking. And guess what? I did not look good. I did not look at all. I felt like I wasn't satisfied. Then I would feel guilty about having picked after dinner and eaten cereal and had like a Nutri-Grain bar, and it was never ending. And then that guilt would carry on over to the next day. Then I wouldn't eat properly the next, just a big bad cycle. So if you start out just eating foods that you love, watching portions, that is half the battle. The other really important thing to do when you're trying to figure out what to eat for your body, again, this is so important for your body, is half an hour after you eat a meal, you really take a little check and you say, am I still hungry? Does my head hurt? Does my stomach hurt? Do I feel sluggish? Am I in a bad mood? Like, am I kind of pissed off right now? Like, am I in a bad mood? Does anything hurt? Do I feel like taking a nap? Or does my stomach not hurt? My head doesn't hurt. I feel energized. I feel satiated, but not over full. Take an account of how you feel. If any of the negativity is there, whether you have a slight stomach ache or a little bit of like cramping, or if you are sluggish, you want to take a nap, anything goes wrong 30 minutes after you eat, then you know that something that you ate didn't agree with your body. And it's time to reassess. So what was it? So kind of like take it again. For me, the worst thing I can do at lunchtime is have a sandwich, like a deli sandwich with like the nice French bread and the mayo. Like anytime I eat a nice Subway sandwich or something, my whole day gets ruined. I get a stomachache, I'm sleepy, I feel bloated. There's something in there that my body doesn't like. However, if I eat the meals that I usually do and I know and love, it makes a big difference on how my body is responding to it. And therefore I have energy and I don't feel too stuffed and I don't feel hungry. So it's like really important to take account and maybe like keep again, like a journal and just say like, today this is how I felt for these, you know, after this meal, this is what I had and this is how I felt. And your body's trying to tell you something, so pay attention. In terms of caffeine and alcohol, I do have both. I have coffee every single morning. I can go on any cleanse. You can take anything away from me. You can take away sugar, alcohol, bread, gluten, you name it. You cannot take coffee away from me. It's really bad. I've actually done cleanses and detoxes and kept the coffee in. Like, I just can't do it. I have coffee. I don't have coffee after lunchtime though, because I notice that stresses my adrenals and I start putting on weight. It's really interesting, but that really is something that doesn't do well for me, is if I have coffee later on in the day, my body doesn't like it because it affects my sleep cycle. It affects my body's like hormones reacting to the caffeine. My body doesn't like it. So that's just something important to keep in mind, is again, everything in moderation. I love having a glass of wine with dinner, but I don't do it every single night because I like to know that I don't have to do it, really is what it's about. Also, drinking a lot or drinking regularly really ups your chances of cancer. So that's something that I keep in mind. And it also ages you. As much as I don't want to admit it does, it really ages you. So I try to keep that in mind. I love wine. It's pretty much the only thing I like to drink, but I don't have it every single day. But if you do have it, don't feel guilty about it. Just again, like enjoy it. It's so important to enjoy what you're eating and to not have any guilt attached to it. Like just, I have a glass of wine, I had a piece of chocolate cake, I had a delicious, scrumptious piece of cheese, and that's it. Like there's nothing like, oh my gosh, therefore like I'm just gonna go binge, or I'm just gonna go and drink the whole bottle, or I'm gonna go and, you know, it's like really thinking of just, it's okay, I really enjoyed it and it's time to move on. The fifth tip that can really help with staying fit in your 40s is intermittent fasting. And I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with this because I actually used to be the biggest breakfast person in the world ever. And it might not be right for you, so make sure to check in with your doctor and kind of all those types of things. I actually did not mean to start intermittent fasting. It just naturally happened when I had my kids, and slowly over time, I was just noticing that I just couldn't get to my breakfast. Like I would make my breakfast, I would make their breakfast, I would get them dressed, I would try to get them out the door, all of the things. And that when everything was said and done, I was like, wow, I wasn't unable to eat my breakfast. And I'm just kind of like sipping coffee whenever I have time, right? And then I noticed, you know what? I actually feel better and I have more energy and I feel like my body is doing better than ever. And so slowly I was like, wow, I actually don't need to eat breakfast at all. Whether I used to be the person that would wake up in the morning and literally the first thing I was thinking of was like eggs and bacon or bagel. Like that was kind of my first thought in the morning. And now it's coffee, I guess. It was always coffee, but now it's more of a weekend thing where if I have time and nobody's trying to get out the door or I'm not trying to get them on Zoom or, you know, that crazy year we had. And it's just easier for me to just drink coffee until about 11:30 or 12. And then after that, I can usually have my first meal, and I usually stop eating at about like 8:30 or 9 p.m. I usually eat dinner a little later. So that's kind of when the kitchen closes for me. If you're interested in trying intermittent fasting, there's so many amazing publications and guides and trackers that you can use. I would suggest starting small. Like if you're used to having breakfast at 7, then maybe push it back to like 10:30. And then slowly over time, you'll be like, oh, you know, it's not a big deal and you're not feeling hungry. If you're not a coffee person, you can always drink tea. I guess I don't do like a very straight intermittent fasting because I always have whole milk in my coffee. So I do drink some milk in the morning. One of the big philosophies of intermittent fasting is that our ancestors didn't eat 3 meals a day. 3 meals a day is one of those things that has been kind of commercialized and has been implemented in modern society. But in the past, usually people would just kind of work all day to get the meal of the day, and they might pick a few things here and there, but it wasn't like we're sitting down to 3 solid meals. And so the whole thing is like your body's actually more used to doing the intermittent fasting naturally, biologically speaking, than eating the 3 meals a day, because 3 meals a day is just a lot. There are some people, like I have a few people that I have trained also people in my family that do really, really well with 3 solid meals a day, that they're sitting down, they're not snacking in between, they're just eating 3 meals a day, and they thrive and they look great. However, if you're frustrated and you're already eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you want to try something new and see if you can move the scale, have more energy, whatever it might be, then try it and go slow, check in with your doctor. You might be pleasantly surprised at what all the buzz is about. And finally, when you're thinking about staying fit in your 40s, if you've been watching this video so far, it's probably because you're invested, you're trying to make a life change. Maybe you don't have energy, or you don't feel strong, or you want to lose weight. I think what this all requires of us, and there's like no magic answer, is we just really have to put the work in. And sometimes there's a mental block that prevents us from putting the work in. So it's really about looking within and thinking to yourself, why is it that I want to make this change? And find a lot of meaning in that. Like, how can I make this meaningful to me? Because only meaning really provides change. Like, if you've ever seen someone lose weight, like after a breakup or a divorce, it's because they have the revenge body thing going on, and they found meaning in wanting to make a change. Maybe it wasn't directly related to like losing weight or getting super fit, but there was some meaning and passionate emotion that was driving the behavior. So it's really finding it for you. Do you want to be healthy? Do you just want to look a certain way? At the end of the day, looks only motivate us to a certain extent until they start to lose motivation. That's why you see a lot of people gain a lot of weight after a wedding, or they get ready for an event, they lose weight for an event. After the event is gone, they gain weight again. It's because they didn't find that meaning that was really powerful in driving their behavior. I encourage you just to think about why it is that you want to be fit and what are the things that you need to do to make a change. I encourage you to download my little tracker that can help you stay fit and some of the reminders that we covered in this video, and hopefully you can keep track and take note of how you're feeling and little reminders along the way to be your fittest, most confident self. I will be making a video on what I eat in a day to talk a little bit more about the nuances of what exactly nutrition is. I just wanted a very high level how to stay fit in your 40s for now, so that this video wouldn't be like 2 hours long. But I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want more information on staying well, make sure to check out my blog, Dancing Mama Style, where I have so many articles on identifying hunger cues as well as body love mindset. For now, I encourage you to check out my posture video where I show you the exact exercises that you need to develop a beautiful dancer posture, which will make you look younger and feel more confident as well. Thank you so much for watching, and please let me know if this was helpful. If there's anything that you want me to dive more into, I would be so happy to hear from you, and hope that you have an amazing day. Let's go make it happen.